Go for it.
Hi, I'm Forrest, and I was in the Navy for 24 years. Did deployments around the world. I supervised food service operations on 2 ships in a variety of different ways. But there's one thing that I just never learned how to do, and that's cook.
So, the vet, the chef, welcome to the chef and the vet. So, to Forrest's point, I have witnessed this complete lack of cooking skill. From my standpoint, I'm Paul Evans, been cooking for probably about 35 years at this point in a various manner, from hotels, restaurants, country clubs, and hospitals. And I've actually run a hospital now. So our careers have gone different ways. But at the same time, we never lost sight of what we love the most, and that's really good food, really good drink, really good friendship. And we'll go through today, in our upcoming series, teach Forrest how to cook, take the fear out of cooking for sure, put a little bit of technique into it, lots of flavor, lots of humor back and forth, lots of making fun of each other, probably more making fun of him than me, but we'll have fun doing it. And at the same time, we're gonna drink some really good beer, really good local breweries that we'll focus on every episode as well. So let's get started.
All right.
So,
Hey, what are we cooking today?
so we're gonna start today. So a little bit of history from my standpoint. Over here, we have a recipe that I created back in 2005 for a national competition, the Taste of Elegance, that was sponsored by the National Pork Board. Ended up winning my region, and we're going to focus on that recipe today. We're going to make it a little more applicable for the home cook. There's a couple things in there that aren't readily available for the home cook, so we'll use a couple different variations of items, and we'll go through some really good techniques. We'll teach Forrest how to properly sear meat, how to use some different variations of things to ensure pork doesn't dry out. We'll make sure we use a thermometer, just make sure we don't overcook it, right? And we'll learn some different knife skills as well. So a lot of our vegetables today are bell pepper, onion, squashes, and carrots will be julienne cut. So we'll make them all look like a matchstick. So first thing we need to do, if you want to grab your pork tenderloin, we're going to get it on the board. We're going to season it up with some salt and pepper. I'm going to turn on our pan over here, get it nice and hot for us. All right, so salt and pepper
All
here.
right, salt and pepper.
Yep.
All right.
Why do we use pink salt?
It's from the Himalayas. I found that out at Costco the other day.
While that is true, the best way to use pink salt, what else looks like salt? Sugar, right?
Sure.
So we always know it's not sugar. So
Okay.
grab a liberal
no
amount
idea.
of salt. We're going to do a liberal amount of pepper.
Is that really why you use pink salt in cooking?
That's the reason I use it.
I just thought it was trendy.
We're going to make sure it tastes good on both sides.
I just use pink salt because my daughter likes pink.
That's a good reason too.
All right, so when you say liberal, when should I stop?
That's good right there. All right, looks awesome. All right, so let's take the board over. We're going to get a little bit of olive oil.
Did you want butter too?
Nope, just olive oil for this.
Oh, okay.
And the reason we're not going to use butter for this, very good question. So butter likes to burn very quickly.
And we don't want it to
We
burn.
don't
right
want it
now?
to burn, yeah. So also in here, we're going to throw some thyme. We're going to save the rosemary for later. That was an accident. And we're going to throw some garlic in there as well.
All right, so what do I do? Do I do anything right now?
Nope, we're going to let it cook. Let
Okay.
it get nice and hot.
Do I cover it?
Nope, we're not going to cover it because we don't want to steam it.
Ah, okay.
We want to actually make a crust on the outside, and that's going to help sear in those juices, and that way it's nice and moist inside.
And you just leave the sticks in there?
Yep, we're going to leave the sticks in there. That is known as thyme, so not just sticks. So So while that's getting nice and hot over here, what we're going to do for our pork, we're actually going to wrap it with bacon, prosciutto, and chicken mousse. So we're going to make our chicken mousse. All those three things are going to help keep that moisture inside. Add a little more flavor. We're going to add some saltiness from the bacon and the prosciutto, a little bit of smokiness from the bacon, and a little bit of flair with the chicken mousse. So for the chicken mousse, we have.
Hey, there's bubbles. Like, I mean, this isn't gonna burn while we're like.
It is not going to burn. We're going to keep an eye on it. So over here, we have this super tiny food processor, right? So back when I used to do competitions, you have to bring your own equipment, and you bring exactly what you need. And this is the perfect size for what we need, right? So chicken mousse is not like a chocolate mousse, much different. It's basically going to be chicken breast, an egg white, and some heavy cream. We're not going to season it because we're going to have a ton of flavor and salt and pepper with all these items already. So go ahead and add your chicken into the processor.
Okay.
All right. Add your cream.
This is all pre-measured out.
It's all pre-measured.
Yeah.
We'll share the recipe on our Facebook page. And proper technique for cracking eggs. Just tap it on the counter. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
2 fingers or 2 thumbs. And we're going to split it, right?
Okay.
We're going to keep it on one side. We're going to separate, right?
Okay.
We get a little bit of yolk in there, that's okay. But we're going to add that egg white in there as well, all right?
All right. All right.
All right, so we're going to put the lid on here. And let you have the honors of this mixing together. It's super loud. That way you know it's working. We're going to make a nice thin puree. So that's going. You can start to smell the nice the thyme, the garlic, the salt and pepper on the pork. I know you can't see this on Instagram, but it smells good. It does smell really, really
Emerald
good.
Lagasse used to say smell-o-vision. Do you remember that?
Yeah, what's that?
Emerald Lagasse used to say smell-o-vision.
I'll give that like 10 more seconds and it'll be perfect. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Now you're telling me in competition you would have done this through a chinoise.
yeah. So in competition, we would actually take this and we put it through a chinoise. So a chinoise is a really, really fancy strainer, super fine screen mesh, and we would put it in there and we take a spatula and press it through and press it through and press it through. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of fiber in there from the chicken breast, and that's okay. It's going to add a little bit of extra texture to what we're doing today. It won't be totally like 5-star high-end restaurant. It's going to taste just as amazing though. So we have our chicken mousse, we have our prosciutto, we have our bacon, and we have our pork that's still searing over here. We can hear it, we can smell it, we know it's not burning. So while that's over there, we're going to start assembling our layers for the outside of the pork, all right? So let's take our bacon, Forrest. We're gonna take one piece at a time. And we're just gonna put the next one just barely touching this overlapping. Let it overlap just a little bit.
Like that?
Yep, a little bit closer.
Oh, okay.
So it actually overlaps a little bit, so there's no gaps in between.
Got it.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it the length of that tenderloin, so right about here.
Can we just use all the bacon?
We could.
All right. What if we just took like this, like, and did that? No, can't do that.
No, we could. It's gonna be nice and raw in the middle when we cook it.
All right. Well.
I'm not sure about you, but I'm not a huge fan of raw bacon.
All right. Well, all right. Just wondering. Just wondering.
So judging by size, I'd probably say probably 2 more slices after that one.
2 more slices.
2 more slices.
All right.
1 more. We're going to take our hands, we're kind of going to press it down and make sure it's nice and flat and even. Then we're going to do the same exact thing with the prosciutto. So we're going to take the prosciutto, layer it on top. Those are divided with wax paper to make it easy to pull them apart.
I got to prove that wrong.
It's okay. It's paper thin the way we want it. If it's really thick, you'll never be able to chew it.
Oh, boy.
So that's all right. Good.
You proved you wrong when you said it was easy to pull off.
It is, see? I proved myself right. Perfect. So we're going to overlap that one as well. Just keep laying that up all the way down.
Wow. Beat the meat, Forrest. You must beat it. Don't let it beat you. Yes, it does.
Here, I'll be your assistant.
Sous chef.
So all these things that we're building, we have a nice layer of fat that's going to be on the outside of this pork tenderloin roll, basically, right? Then we have a really flavorful, salty layer of prosciutto in there as well. Then we're going to add our chicken mousse in there and kind of put a layer of that. So we're going to do it about 1 inch to each side, leaving a little bit of gap. So we'll get it all on there, the majority of it on there.
So what does the milk and egg do to this chicken mousse when you're trying to cook the tenderloin next?
It's a really good question. So adding the milk or the heavy cream and the egg white's going to help bind it together when it cooks.
Okay.
The heavy cream adds a little bit extra fat.
Okay.
Obviously, chicken breast is kind of fat-free for the most part.
Okay.
We don't want it to be really dry inside. We're doing all these things to make sure it's not dry for our pork. So we want to make sure we're taking all those extra steps.
So between the pork tenderloin and the chicken, it can be dried out. So every opportunity we get to introduce a little bit of fat so that it doesn't dry out.
Correct.
That's what we're doing.
Yep, that's perfect. The perfect explanation.
Okay.
So we're going to take this and we're going to spread it to about 1 inch to each side.
Would ground chicken work here?
You can start with ground chicken. I'll let you finish that.
Okay. So what else would you do? I mean, if you weren't inclined to do chicken for some reason.
You could use pork. You could use the scraps from a tenderloin. You could use anything. You could use fish. You could use scallops.
Ground meat, beef.
You could do ground beef.
But it might overpower the pork.
It might. Chicken's super mild. That's a good point. It really does. It's not going to distract from the flavor of the pork. But at the same time, yeah, please do not do that.
So gross.
I don't know. Keep an open mind.
All right, so we have all that rolled out. We're going to add our pork in there.
I don't know. It's pretty good, but
So here's the tricky part. So the way we shingled it right underneath, we're going to start at the bottom end and kind of work our way up.
okay.
So just keep pulling that one up. Just kind of pull underneath with your thumb too, just to make sure we're getting all this pulled up around it.
Okay.
And we're going to do the same exact thing from this side.
Okay.
So pull it up.
So I have to hold it
Yep.
in place over here while I do that.
Yep. Pull it up, pull it up. This will be our bottom side here.
Okay, because it's the
This is the seam side.
the seam side.
All right. Guess I could have left this on.
So we're gonna put that thing on the pan anyway, right?
We are.
All right. So go ahead, bring the pan
Yep,
over.
bring the pan over.
All right. And we're just gonna roll it into the
We're
pan.
gonna take it, we're gonna transfer it right in there.
All right.
And we're
You
gonna let
might
that cook.
wanna use a, I don't know how high that burner is squirrely. You might want to switch burners. I just,
Probably don't want to burn the pan.
All right. So while that's searing, we're gonna start our sauce. All right. We got a few minutes while it's searing in the pan.
oh,
I know I need to wash my hands.
Washing your hands.
I'm gonna give you the
is
bird.
appropriate.
I will give you the bird and not the chicken bird.
So we need to keep that on high.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll keep it on high. We'll keep,
because
an
we're-
eye on it.
Okay.
But we really want to cook that bacon. We're going to finish in the oven, so we're going to sear the seam side, turn it over, let the bacon all cook a little bit, and we're going to finish it in the oven.
Okay.
So while it's finishing in the oven, it's going to cook into the middle. So this will be cooked on the outside. The bacon will help keep that prosciutto nice and soft.
Okay.
The chicken mousse will help keep the tenderloin moist. And the tenderloin will cook. We're going to keep an eye on it with a thermometer, and we're going to pull it out somewhere around 136 to 138 degrees. By the time it rests, it'll be about 145, which is a perfect medium.
Okay.
Which we
Got it.
don't want for pork, you know.
Okay.
No worries with undercooked pork unless it's severely undercooked. Maybe 50 years ago, for our parents, they would be worried about undercooking pork with the chance of foodborne illness, but pork is raised a lot differently now, much more clean, so we don't have to worry about that so much.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So you can eat rare pork.
You can. I mean,
But-
I prefer medium rare to medium. This
Yeah.
application for a tenderloin, medium is perfect. That way it's still moist, it's still flavorful. It's not going to have that chewiness of overcooked pork.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what we what we complain about is
Absolutely.
this pork is dry, and it's because it's usually overcooked.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what makes it. That's what gives it that texture.
Correct. So we'll start with our sauce first.
Okay.
We got a nice hot pan back here. We're going to add our rosemary into there.
Into this.
Yep.
All right.
We're going to add our bourbon.
Do I need to drink some? I got some.
We're going to try to see if we can get it light.
Ooh.
Nice. Let's set up the smoke alarm.
And we're going to burn off the alcohol. Still get all that flavor, right? We're trying to catch the microwave on fire. At the same time, it won't take long to burn the alcohol off. But at the same time, we're starting to char the rosemary, so it gives it a little bit of smokiness flavor too.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to be allowed to do this on my own.
You can see it's starting to die down a little bit. Really good camera shot right there. Nice flame. Get a little closer, you can burn your eyebrows.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to do that.
Film out the lens or any of the 5 cameras that you have on your phone.
You want to try to turn it?
Sure. Is there?
Yep, just like that.
All right.
You can turn it right over. If it comes apart, we can fix it. Don't worry. So,
All right.
put it back together. That's all right.
All right.
It's
This
all
looks
right.
awesome. Wow.
Okay. You just set that down there. Oh, see, alcohol is almost gone, right? So we'll grab we got some beef stock and we have some apple cider. The apple cider will add a nice little flavor component that goes well with pork.
Okay. So I know that pork and apple cider go pretty well together. Why the beef stock?
It's really hard to find pork stock in the grocery store without making it yourself.
Okay.
It's pretty impossible to find pork stock. So,
Is there such a thing as pork stock?
there is. Typically, you have to make
Make
it yourself with pork bones and celery, onions, and carrots and all that.
Oh, so you just do it the same way you would do beef or chicken stock
Yeah,
instead
or
of doing
turkey stock after Thanksgiving.
substitute pork.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Like a
the same
ham?
thing. Like a what?
Like a ham
Like a ham. Oh,
bone.
Okay. Yeah.
wow, that's
So we're gonna let that kind of start to boil down a little bit. Once it comes to a boil, we're gonna thicken it up with a cornstarch slurry to get it to the consistency we want. And we'll begin on that part as well.
okay.
So on the pork, now we got the bacon cooked a little bit on the other side.
Yep.
We're gonna turn this part right back around. We don't have to cook it quite as far as the bottom, because this part is gonna cook in the oven as well.
Okay. Got it.
So you want to throw it right in the oven,
All right.
on the middle shelf there, so it cooks evenly. We're just gonna let that cook.
All right.
All right, so sauce is going. So a couple things we have left. We have all our veggies we need to take care of, and we're gonna make a little bit of a kind of high-end sweet mashed potatoes, you know.
Okay.
So we'll start with our veggies. I'll give you a cutting board. I'll guide you through it. This one's dirty, so we're not gonna use that one from the pork.
Okay.
But over here, we're gonna work on some julienne cuts. So julienne, as I mentioned before, looks like a matchstick.
Mm-hmm.
Big fancy word, right? So easiest way to do it. And I'll do a couple cuts and I'll let you do the rest. So we have to get ourselves in a position that's easy to make those cuts. So we're gonna make some kind of like little planks, right? And
Okay.
I already have it cut to a length that's about 2 inches long. And we're gonna cut about 1/16 of an inch wide, right? So you have these perfect little matchsticks.
Okay.
Okay. So same thing we'll do for both of these. We're gonna make those little planks all the way across. Then we'll make our julienne cuts from there, right?
What do you do with the rest of it?
We'll save it and we'll use it for something else. We
Okay.
can save them for crudités. We can mix them into a mixed veggie. We're definitely not going to throw it away. That'll be a huge waste, you know.
Okay.
So we'll set those aside. For the carrot, best way I do it, I make one cut on one side, right? So we have a flat surface.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can start.
Okay.
It's a lot harder than these are. So this way we can start making planks this way.
So how do you keep from cutting your fingers off?
Make sure your knife, hold it between your thumb and finger, right on the inside of the blade here.
Okay.
And make sure the flat part of the knife is always against your fingers. If it's always against the flat part of your finger, there's no chance of it getting into your finger. It's when it's away from your hand that things can go wrong, you know.
Okay.
So we'll save those portions as well. And here, it's going to be the exact same thing. Now we're coming to the matchsticks. Okay?
Okay.
Red bell pepper, right? Same thing. We're going to cut some planks here. I don't think we'll need all of it for what we need today. We're going to take out a little bit of the white part. It's called the pith inside. That's the bitter part of the pepper.
Okay.
So we're just going to take the tip of our knife. We'll come through and we'll get those pieces out, right? Get those done. We're going to kind of want to make sure we have the same length, right? So we'll kind of cut this down into the right length we want. We'll save those pieces for our mixed veggies.
Okay.
Same thing. We'll get that length that we want, right?
Okay.
And at this point, we want to get rid of that skin that gets stuck between your teeth when you're eating it, right? So we're going to turn it over, and we're going to get our knife, just like we're filleting a fish, just underneath the outside of that skin. And we can take most of that skin right off.
Okay.
Oh.
If we have a little bit on there, we can come back and kind of trim it off. And that piece, there's a couple pieces on there that's great. But we want to get the majority of it off, you know. That way it makes it much more enjoyable without having that stuff stuck between your teeth, right?
Yeah, that's a lot easier to watch than it is to do, though.
Yes. Key is to have a really sharp knife too. You want to be afraid of your knife for sure, just because it's so sharp. you always want to respect it. So at the same time, now we're in a position we can make our matchsticks, right? Yeah, it never leaves my finger.
Okay.
So we have those. And the last one we'll do, we're going to actually do a half of a red onion, right? So we'll save that as well. So once again, we already have that, basically that same length, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to follow the shape of the onion. So we're going to cut that 1/16 measurement and follow that all the way around.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll do that one last, but I'll leave this to you to go through and cut all these juliennes.
Okay. And while I do this, you'll be explaining what all the rest
I'll
of
be
that
explaining
stuff
how
is?
we're going to do it. Yep.
Awesome.
I'm actually going to take a wet paper towel and put it under your cutting board.
Okay. What's that do?
It'll keep it from moving so much.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, kind of need every bit of help that I can get. All right, so,
Pork is smelling amazing.
Yes.
oh,
There
I
you go.
almost trim my fingernails.
There you go. That's a good way to do it too.
I'm not sure anyone wants to eat fingernails.
Very good.
Can I do like multiple at a time to just save time, or
You
do I-
can once you get the technique down, and you're comfortable with it. But for now, I'd
So
focus
basically,
on.
when I turn 60, I should be able to have
It's
these.
good to have goals. Yes.
All right.
So I think while you're doing that, I'm going to take a sip of my beer.
Oh yeah. You know what? I've been drinking some pretty good beer. Why don't you talk a little bit more about what we're
What are you drinking?
So I'm drinking this amazing Imperial coffee stout from a local brewery in Ocala, Infinity Ale Works. It's called Into the Dark Roast. High alcohol, so you can't drink a lot of it. Definitely not your typical breakfast beer. But flavor profile of this, it's really malty, really has a good coffee nose. A little bit of sweetness to it, and it's going to go very well with everything we're cooking today. It's going to go really well with our mashed sweet potatoes that we're going to elevate with some fresh vanilla bean. It's going to go great with the pork. It's going to go great with the apple and the bourbon that's in the sauce. So very enjoyable. I'll let Forrest talk about what he's drinking.
I forgot what I was drinking. Oh yeah, Hawaiian Lion from
He's
Big
had 3
Top.
already. Yeah.
From Big Top. It's a coconut coffee porter, and that Big Top is a brewery down in Sarasota, and it's pretty tasty. It's not an imperial, but it still has pretty decent alcohol content apparently, and it seems to go pretty well with this pork. I'll let you know, but it goes pretty well with conversation.
So what are the flavors in it, Forrest?
Not as much coconut as you would think, and I almost didn't buy it because it's a coconut coffee porter. But the reason I did buy it is because I read, I got it at Total Wine, and I read that it won a bronze medal at the Great American Beer Festival. So I thought, well, maybe
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Maybe they have something going on. So when I tasted it, it turns out that it doesn't really have. It's not heavy on the coconut, and I wouldn't have liked it if it were. But you can smell the coconut in it, and on the can it says that it has 150 pounds of coconut added to every batch that they brew. So definitely has some coconut in it, but it doesn't overpower the flavor of the beer, which I appreciate. So it's pretty good. But I can barely walk and chew bubble gum at the same time, and I definitely can't talk and not cut my fingers off at the same time. So,
Well, you're actually doing a good job. Those knife cuts look really good. Pretty consistent. I love this blend just because there's some really good colors, really good flavors that go together. And all these things are going to complement our pork and our mashed sweet potatoes very well. So as soon as you finish that up, we're going to finish our sauce. It's over there boiling away nicely. I wish you guys could smell what's going on in here. It smells amazing. Tons of bacon smell. Lots of fresh rosemary in the air. And obviously we have the fresh veggies as well. So make sure you have your fingers up here as well.
oh yeah, wow. That's definitely butter.
We'll do one more cut and stop, and we're going to actually flip it this way, and you can start that process again.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Makes it a little bit safer.
Okay.
And you get to the point.
For whatever that's worth.
Yes. Yeah. And when we get to the point you don't feel safe, we'll save that for another hospital visit episode. So.
Episode 2.
Yeah. The B-roll. You know?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's stop right there.
All right.
So let's finish up that last piece of red bell pepper. Awesome.
You, I mean, like, I know you're supposed to sharpen it virtually every day, every time. Do you sharpen it every time you put it down? What do you do?
It's a very good question, and often debated question, because I don't think people really understand sharpening. So every kitchen has one of these, right? A steel, and this is what people think. Even a lot of chefs think this is what sharpens a knife, right? It's not true. All this really does. So we have our knife blade. If you look at it this way, if you look at it with a magnifying glass, you can see that the actual blade. When it's freshly sharpened, it's run over a steel, it's perfectly straight. But as we use it, it starts to bend. What this is for is to bring that bend back straight. But it actually doesn't sharpen it. So to sharpen it, you actually need a sharpener, right? So you can buy these Target, Walmart, Home Depot, wherever. It's just basically 2 metal blades in here that we'll use to sharpen our blade. So we're just gonna run it across. Couple times, right? Then we'll take it and run it across our steel. Okay. What I like to do, because we use this, we're going to rinse it off, because it's going to leave a little bit of metal fragments as we sharpen. But with the blade, once again, if you look at a magnifying glass, it's perfectly straight, perfectly sharp, and you can actually hear it. I mean, it's super sharp now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you just do that.
You don't have to do this every time, but typically, as you're using your knife, at least want to run this over at some point throughout the prep process, just to make sure we're cooking with that really straight blade. Much more safe.
So do you do it before, or do you do it when you're done?
You can do it before, during, after. There's no really right way to do it, as long as you do it at some point. You know?
Okay.
Going back to the comment I made before about respecting your blade, that's why you do that.
Okay.
One of the most dangerous things in a kitchen is a dull knife. If the knife is dull, you're using a lot more force to make it work. If you're using a lot more force and it goes wrong, it's going to go into your hand, or it's going to go in somewhere you don't want it to be, which we don't want. That's not fun. Part of cooking, right?
Okay. Okay.
So let's head over here.
Okay.
We're gonna actually thicken up our sauce, right? So as you can see, it's boiling away nice. It smells amazing. We got the fresh rosemary in there, cooking nicely with the apple cider and the pork stock. So we have some cornstarch, a little bit of cornstarch here. We're gonna add some water to make our slurry. If you wanna, we'll get it stirred up, right?
So why do you make a slurry instead of just dumping it in there?
Well, I want to make this into a liquid, so when we dump it in, it doesn't form lumps, you know?
Okay.
If we dump just dry cornstarch in there, it would instantly gel up into a cornstarch meatball, basically, you know?
Oh, yum.
Pretty sure that's not Italian anywhere, and probably not a family favorite. So now we have it into the liquid we want.
You obviously weren't at my house during Thanksgiving.
Actually, I was. Actually, I was here.
Not growing up.
Not growing up, no. But got our slurry. We're gonna make sure this is still boiling. With our cornstarch or with the flour slurry, it's not gonna reach its full thickening power unless it's boiling.
Why is that?
We have to cook the starch.
Okay.
So wherever the starch would be, whether it be the corn or whether it be the wheat, typically both like to congeal somewhere around starting around 185 degrees.
Okay.
So we want to make sure we're much higher than that to make sure we're at the right point.
Okay.
So here we're gonna add this little by little. So we're gonna, once you add it, you can't take it out. So we can always add more, right? So
Got it.
as you can see, it's still pretty thin, right? So make sure we're still coming to a boil. It's just starting to boil again. So we're gonna add just a little bit more, right? Now obviously we don't want to add too much to start with either. Otherwise, it's gonna bring that temperature way down. Then we gotta sit here and wait and wait and wait and wait. See, with that one, it's starting to thicken just a little bit. So I think if we do one more addition just like we did, I think we'll be good. So we'll let that come back to a boil and we'll check it in a second, all right? So we have a nice hot pan here. A fairly hot pan for, this will be for our veggies. This will be for our mashed sweet potatoes, all right? Let's take a peek in here and let's check out our pork too. So pork's looking really good. Let me grab a towel, we'll bring it out, make it easier to look at. See, it's cooking nicely, smelling amazing. It's still pretty rare in the middle, so let it cook a few more minutes.
So how do you tell if it's rare versus done just by feeling it? Like you felt it. And
So
you
a good analogy, so let your arm relax, kind of squeeze your forearm while it's relaxed, and it's nice and squishy, right? That's pretty rare. Now tighten it up. That would be more like a medium well, you know?
Okay.
So
Okay.
obviously, as meat cooks, it gets harder. So that's what we're feeling for.
Okay.
So the sauce is looking really good. We'll let it continue to cook. So let's do our mashed sweet potatoes. Butter in there. Once that starts to melt, we can add our potatoes right on top of that.
Right on top of it, just right now?
Yep.
All right.
We'll take our whisk and we'll kind of start breaking it up a little bit.
Okay.
Start breaking it up and we'll start mixing it all together. And as you're doing that, I'm going to add some brown sugar.
Okay.
Brown sugar is one of sweet potatoes' best friends, right?
Yeah.
Cinnamon.
Okay.
I'm just going to mix it all together. Once it's broken up to small pieces, we can start actually whisking it together. So we want to make it like a mash, you know.
Right.
It won't be as kind of runny as a regular like Idaho mashed potato,
Okay.
but it'll be to the point where we can actually form it a little bit. So
Okay.
that's smelling so good.
It's like fall.
Well, it's basically fall in Florida. It's January.
Yeah. So we got it for 1 second.
Okay.
So let's take this and we're just gonna start mixing it up, all right?
Oh, okay.
Just like
All
that.
right. There we go.
See how it's starting to mash together now?
Got it.
There you
All
go.
right.
There you go.
So it doesn't matter if you get it inside the whisk.
No, we'll get it out. As you keep whisking it, it'll move it out and more will come in.
Okay.
So if you do it a little bit faster, more will come out. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
All right.
I'm gonna turn this way down so we just keep this on low. Actually, we probably just turn it off for now. So I think we're good there. Just, you can leave the whisk right in there.
All right.
One thing we're gonna add, just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So we have a fresh vanilla bean. Ever worked with a vanilla bean before?
No, I haven't.
All right. So super luxurious, super expensive. That's like $8, you know, for one vanilla bean. So what we're gonna do, and I'll use my knife because I'm like that. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our knife and we'll take it on the non-sharp side, right?
Okay.
We're actually gonna just flatten our bean out the best we can. And the reason we're doing that, we want to be able to cut it in half. So now we have a flat. We'll start towards the stem end, and we're actually gonna cut this right in the middle, the best we can. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we have 2 pieces, right? And kind of the same thing we did before, but we use a sharp side this time.
Okay.
So we have all these vanilla beans inside the pod, right? We're just gonna scrape it. We get all that stuff from the inside.
Okay.
And we'll take that, we're gonna add that right into our pan. We're gonna scrape it right off our whisk. We're gonna save these, we never throw these away.
No, you make vanilla vodka with it.
That's a very good point. I wasn't going there, but I was thinking more like vanilla sugar, but vanilla vodka is a very good point. And same thing here. We're just gonna scrape this part down, and we'll add that into our mashed sweet potatoes.
All right. So I just keep on.
Yep. Keep on whisking it together. While you're doing that for us, I'm going to check the temperature on our pork. Let's see where we're at with this.
Ooh.
Yeah, we are perfect. We are right where we want to be.
Where do we want to be?
So it is at 138.
Okay.
So we're going to take it out. We're going to actually take this right out of the pan and put it on our cutting board so it can rest.
So, Paul, how long does it stay hot?
A very, very, very long time, right? So for those that don't get the inside joke, let's scoot that to the back for us, and we're gonna use our burner here. We're gonna leave the towel there so we know that pan is hot, right? So we don't burn ourselves. Burning yourself sucks. Just saying. And let that continue to cook in the back.
Yeah. What was the inside joke, by the way?
So the inside joke was very, very good. I was worried about burning myself. So the inside joke was every holiday cooking turkey. Tanya always asks, how long is the turkey going to stay hot? She's always fearful of the turkey getting cold. That question's been going on for years now. And, every year it's like, it's going to be hot for a very, very long time. So this won't be hot as long as the turkey because it's smaller. But we have a lot of stuff that's layered on the outside to keep that hot inside. So I think we'll be in a good spot for that.
Okay.
So on our pan here for us, we're going to add a little bit of
Well,
oil.
the whole thing? Maybe not.
Probably do the whole thing, it'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Then we're going to scrape off our veggies right into there. We're going to scrape them right off into there.
Oh.
You use your hand, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
can.
All right.
Yep. We saw you wash it earlier, so we're good. So.
All right. So now that the veggies are on, here's one of the questions I always have. How long do you wait before you add the spinach? Because I see that we have spinach. But I know that there's a difference between the veggies and the spinach.
There is.
Okay.
There is. So our spinach, we're actually going to do in the same pan that we did the pork in.
Oh, okay.
So we have some of this sticky, gooey residue from the pork, right? That's free flavor. So we're going to actually put our spinach right here.
Okay.
We got a little bit of garlic still in there. So you can add all that right in there. Let it cook. It'll start to wilt itself down.
Okay.
And we'll finish it with a little bit of salt and pepper at the end. So quick recap. We have our spinach going, right? We have our pork resting. Veggies are cooking. Our sweet potato mash is ready to go. I take that back. It's not ready to go. We haven't seasoned it with salt and pepper yet and tasted it.
Got it.
And same thing with our sauce. We still got to taste that and make sure that's good. If you want to grab a bunch of spoons and start tasting everything. So here we're going to add a little bit of salt. We know we're going to need it. And add some pepper. We'll taste that before we taste add any salt. So grab one for yourself as well.
Okay.
Man, that's good. Tell me what you think it needs.
Is this a trick?
Besides the ice cube for your tongue you just burnt.
I don't know.
I taste.
I think just a tiny bit of pepper. I think salt is appropriate.
Okay.
So I think everybody's different. Do you think it needs more salt?
No, I don't think it needs more salt. I think pepper would probably be okay.
All right, so let's.
Flip these, turn these.
You want to do it the real way?
I want to watch you do it the real way.
Okay. So we have these pans, sauté pans. They're angled for a reason, right? They're angled so we can be able to flip. So all we're going to do, we're going to move it forward and bring it back to us, right? So forward, whoops, and bring it back to us.
Okay.
Just like that, right?
Okay.
You feel groggy?
Sure. Okay. So.
There you go. There you go. Very good. Awesome. That's all right. All right, so let's add a little salt and pepper to that.
All right. Salt.
A little pepper.
All right. Now we go to the spinach. Or
Give that another flip. Mix,
okay,
that way
yeah,
mix the salt and pepper in.
oops.
Yeah, see, it's not just me that does that.
No.
Very good.
Okay.
And we'll give that like 30 seconds. We're going to kill the heat. We don't want to overcook it. You know?
Got it.
We want to keep all those nice bright flavors. We don't want to all turn to mush.
It looks like the flavors got brighter, like as we were cooking.
A little bit, yeah. Look, that oil helps, gives it a sheen, so it appears brighter as well.
Okay.
But we have some really good flavors in there. They're going to go combine nicely.
Good deal.
So what about the spinach? We're not going to flip that because that goes everywhere. You know. So this, we're just going to give it a little turn. And as we turn it, it's going to really get starting to deflate.
Okay.
See how it's half the size it was a second ago?
Yeah.
I'll let you do that.
Okay.
I'm going to turn off the fire for this. We're going to turn off the oven. If I can figure out where that off is.
Cancel.
I am blind. There we go. All right. So same thing here. That's just a tiny bit of salt. It's going to be a little bit of salt in that pan from before.
Yep.
So we're going to add just a little bit of salt.
Okay.
A little bit of pepper.
Okay.
So I think we're good, right? We got our mashed sweet potatoes. We got our veggies. We got our spinach. We got our sauce. We got our pork, right? So all we're missing now is some plates.
Yep.
All right, guys. Forrest is back from his potty break,
And we're
now
back to a cold piece of pork tenderloin.
Still not cold.
Not cold. Wow.
Still not
really?
cold.
Just resting. Huh?
Just resting. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Woo.
Yeah.
You can rest assured,
Just
Tanya,
like
that
us,
it's
when
not cold.
we rest, we want to be warm, right? The pork is no different.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, so now the fun part, we're gonna start plating some food, right?
All right.
So we will start with our sweet potatoes, right? So let's bring this over. That's really hot. So what we're gonna do for us, we're gonna make just some nice looking spoonfuls, right? So we're gonna kind of mound it up. We'll put that kind of like at 3 o'clock on the plate. Look, if you're looking at the plate, all right?
Okay.
So I'll let you do all 4 of those.
Okay. 3 o'clock on the plate. Well, if it's the first thing on the plate, then any position is 3 o'clock.
That is true, smart ass. All right. Very good.
Okay.
So we'll put that out of the way. Do the spinach next.
All right.
Do you want wine?
Ooh,
No.
that's
Okay,
hot, too.
okay.
That was pretty warm. So. What I really love about spinach too, obviously it's really good for you. Very good, very good.
All right.
Spinach is really good for you. It's bright color green.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point about the cold pork, right? Spinach stays wickedly hot.
Okay.
Why is that? Because of the iron?
It's just the moisture content. It cooks really tight together. So this we're gonna put kind of at like 4:30. Now that we already established 3 o'clock, right? we're gonna put that a little bit right here, right?
All right.
Kind of get a nice little shape of a ball we can the best.
Okay.
I'll let you do those.
So when you were cooking for people that were judging in competition, like, you obviously weren't cooking to feed them. I mean, these are pretty small portions. Like, that's a bite full of spinach.
That's only a portion of the veggies though. We have the rest of our veggies we're gonna add too, you know.
Okay.
So
Can we do
much.
that next?
Yeah, we can do that next.
All right.
So much different in competition than we do in our homes. What we're plating here is actually the true recommended like portion size of what we're supposed to have.
You mean like the USDA or the FDA? Or
Yeah, whatever.
Not the FDA.
Not the FDA. No.
We don't listen to anything they say anymore.
Yeah, like the American Dietetics Association or whatever, they recommend you're going to have 3 to 5 ounces of protein on a meal. You're going to have 3 to 6 ounces or 4 to 6 ounces of carbohydrates. You can basically have as much veggies as you want, you know.
Wow.
Not realistic in our world. We eat a lot more than that. I mean,
Okay.
3 to 5 ounces of protein is a good appetizer.
Yeah, I know. That's
Let's bring that down here.
what I eat before I eat
So kind of same
3 to
thing.
5 pounds of
We're going to kind of put this over both of these a little bit, all right? So we can put it kind of right over both of them.
Okay.
Okay, just like that.
All right. Over both of them.
So good. I can't wait to eat.
Very good. And you can see we're actually really cooking. There's lots of steam coming off of it. So
Still hot.
still hot. Very good.
All right.
Let's get this out of our way. Now for the moment of truth, we'll cut our pork. All right. Kind of start at the end here. Look at that. Perfect.
Ugh.
Look at that juicy. Man, that's hot too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do 3 nice slices for each plate, okay?
Okay.
We'll kind of lay those out the way we want. Perfect. Just like that.
Okay.
But you can see the nice, I'll turn around so everybody can see. Get the nice layers. So we have that bacon on the outside, keeping that prosciutto nice and moist. Layer of chicken mousse and perfectly cooked pork.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
3 more. Very good. All right.
Oh.
Very good. So the last thing we're gonna do is that beautiful sauce. And we're just gonna kind of pour it right over. Let it pool a little bit. If you notice, it's not really thick. It's not like a gravy. It just has a nice little thin sauce. Flavorful, sweet. Really gonna add to that flavor of the pork.
Paul, when you create these recipes, do you practice? Do you have to practice before?
For competition, we would.
Yeah.
For sure. Obviously, we have to create the recipe. We want to make sure it works, you know,
Yeah.
before we do anything. But yeah, so we would practice. We would practice our kitchen skills, organization, our timing. So most of these competitions, you'd have start to finish with no prior prep, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half.
Wow.
And that's with all those extra steps of like the chicken mousse going through the chinoise. In competition for like the spinach, we would pick every stem off that spinach before we cooked it. So it's a lot more painstaking, a lot more detail. That you're trying to accomplish.
But you can't prep it and to bring it in.
You can't.
For the competition, the way you kind of stage everything.
Correct. Yep.
So you just have to have like a big bag of spinach or whatever.
Correct. Everything's got to be in its rawest form. You can't have your veggies peeled or anything, you know.
Wow.
And in competition, just as a side note, like if you brought, you can marinate your meat ahead of time, but at competition you have to have a raw version of it and show them how you marinated it, just so they can prove that you actually did it and somebody else didn't do it for you. You know, if that makes
and
sense.
Just pick it up at Costco.
Right, exactly. So
St. Louis barbecue ribs or whatever.
exactly. So what do you think, Forrest? How'd it go today?
It looks pretty amazing. I can't wait to try it.
What'd you learn today?
I learned how
Other
to
than
cut.
everything stays hot.
I learned how to cut without cutting my fingers. Maybe.
Very
we'll
important.
See. We'll see if that lesson sticks. And then I learned how to cook pork in a way that keeps it moist, which is something that Tanya and I kind of scratch our heads about from time to time. So
Very good. Well, cheers.
cheers.
Look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. Thank
Let's
you very
eat.
much.
Good. All right.
That's not dry.
No, not at all. It's awesome.